Okie dokie, guys and gals. Today I got a 2003 F250 diesel, and it's got a problem where the airflow from the HVAC system only comes out the actual defrost up here, and that's a good indication that you have no vacuum being supplied to the actual head unit here, because from here on they switch the vacuum out to various vacuum motors, and it makes the levers move, and it can direct the airflow to the vents or the floor depending on the actual position of the doors, and they use little vacuum motors to do so. So they need vacuum to work, and for safety reasons, Ford and many other manufacturers, see a focus there, that's better. They default, if they lose vacuum, there's a fault where there's no vacuum for whatever reason, they will default automatically. The rest position is the defrost, and that's for safety reasons. If you're going on the road, you can't afford it, it fails while you're going on the road, and you need to see in a humid, rainy day, it's still going to put the air to the windshield and clear for you so you can get to your destination safely. So that's a good indication, and that we need to go after the vacuum source. Now, before you start tearing apart the whole dash here and ripping the head unit out and checking vacuum on the back side of it and going to each one of the little colored vacuum lines and getting crazy, what we're going to do is we're going to check the source of it in the engine compartment. Okay, so as you may or may not know, all diesels in the Ford family have some kind of vacuum pump system to them. The new ones have big old gear-driven vacuum pumps, whereas these older ones, before 2011, have a basic little vacuum pump, and that's just to drive your accessories like 4x4 and your HVAC system. And it goes over and it feeds the reservoir here, so there's plenty of vacuum for any kind of condition, and also when the engine's off for a brief period of time. So that'll reserve it for you. So first thing we're going to do is come over here, and there's a line right here that goes to the HVAC system. You can see it goes over, and then it goes through the firewall, and it feeds that head unit inside of there. So the easiest thing to get to is this right here, and this should have vacuum if that pump was working while we were just driving it and had the key on, because that would fill the reservoir, and in the meantime it would hold the vacuum until it's fully depleted in here. So all you gotta do is disconnect this and listen for a hissing noise. You don't even need a vacuum pump at all. You'll be able to hear it. We got nothing, it came right out. And what I also noticed before I even drove it in here, I tried the 4x4. Customers are not complaining about it, but I tried it because these have the pulse vacuum hubs on them, and those require vacuum to get into the proper position. So this one's 4x4 did not work also, and when I turned the key on to pull it in here, yeah, the diesels are loud, but like I said, even when you turn the key on without the engine on, this connector right here will still have power and ground the whole time. And then internal to the pump here, it decides if it needs to turn on the pump or not, based on a switch in there, based on the vacuum amount that's available. So it's all controlled internally here, and this just gets straight power. Okay, so our key is on right now. We have no vacuum, and the pump is not coming on. So what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the connector here, and it's a little tricky. It's tight right here, but just pull up on the tab, and then wiggle it off of there. And there's only 2 wires in there. Okay, and that's a power and ground, like I said, and it's constant as long as the key is on. So we're going to test those 2 wires and make sure we have power. Okay, so we got no vacuum, and we have plenty of power coming to the connector here for the vacuum pump, and the pump is not turning on. So before you even worry about vacuum leaks, reservoir problems, head unit problems, vacuum motor problems, we need to make sure we have vacuum first. Now if you have a vacuum gauge, you can go ahead and connect it up to your line here, if it focuses. You can connect up to your line here and give it vacuum and make sure all the HVAC components work properly, but mostly you don't have a vacuum pump available, so we already know the pump is not turning on, this actual electrical pump here, this vacuum pump. So we have power and no vacuum, and internally it decides if it's on or not. So we need to change the pump out And that's how easy it is to diagnose these. Now after that, if you go from there on and it's pumping, we still don't have a HVAC control and we're stuck on defrost. You have other issues internal to the HVAC head unit and the motors inside, but those are very, very, very uncommon. Most common is losing actual vacuum supply, which is supplied by this pump. So just wanted to show you it's that easy to diagnose that. And if you go through these few steps and you don't skip stuff and you follow in a logical order, we just diagnosed that on camera in about a couple minutes.